And welcome back to the Dynasty DNA Culture Shock. A little bit different intro today because Bob is in Wisconsin. He's a little subdued there in his dark little cavity. He's like on the dark side's what we talked about. But I'm your host for the Culture Shock, as always, TJ Blake. You can follow me over on Twitter at FFTJ Blake DNA. I'm the host, but it's this guy's show. It's his segment. It's the one and only, the cultured one. On the road this week, Big Culture Bob Helfert. You can follow him over on Twitter at Big E Fat Bob. Bob, great day of football. I mean, a lot of crazy stuff going on, a lot of high scores, a lot of backup quarterback play, a lot of teams coming back, a lot of bad defense, a lot of good things to talk about here today. I can't wait to delve into you. You ready to do some Culture Shock Week 8 here?
Sure enough.
Okay, so Bob, number one on the list, what are we talking today for the Culture Shock?
Let's just talk about how so pitiful this whole league is. Like, I don't want it to be too negative, but like, I was like looking and I'm like, over half the league is below 500. I don't even know how that math works out, but like, you've got, and it's shocking that some teams have won more games than what we'd have thought. Like, everyone knows that I'm anti-Bears or whatever. So like the fact that they're above 500 still is kind of a shock to me, but that's going to change in my opinion, at least for the Bears. But like I just can't believe how much muddy football we get. And obviously I'm not talking about the weather, but it's like we got all these ho-hum teams playing each other, but you don't have any choice because half the league is a ho-hum team. It's like, I remember at the beginning of the year, somebody griping about all the Cowboys games that were going to be on TV. And of course I'm out of town and the Cowboys were playing the Broncos. And I'm like, oh, this might be a game. And it didn't take long before it wasn't a game. It was like the Broncos were the better team. I mean, yes, the first quarter, Nix throws the interception. And it's like, oh, and then it just, the Cowboys just went to piss. And they're that type of team. I've said it I don't know how many times. They're the most popular dysfunctional team in America. And they can't get out of their own way. I text in our chat, why is CeeDee Lamb coming off the field on offense? I don't care. I mean, he should be ready to go. If you're out there on the field, and this is what we talked about with every quarterback and everybody that just keeps limping off the field. Like unless you're hurt, you need to play. Like, yeah. And I mean, I guess it's the curmudgeon in me that's like, you're making millions of dollars, do your job. And I don't. I pour one out for Cam Scatterboo. I'm probably, just going over different things, but like, I feel bad for the kid, but I'm also like, what did I say? His running style is very perceptive to injury. Now, I would have thought that he'd have jacked his head up more than, his ankle, but,
Yeah, and it's a good point, Bob. And you've always made the point on building on running backs and being careful. And you did say about Cam Scatterboo looking like the Kool-Aid man running through with reckless abandon. Now, like that was kind of a fluke play. It was a pass, right? Like it was something that we didn't expect. And that's another thing. I mean, when you get guys that get this kind of volume, it's very rare unless you're someone like Derrick Henry. You get injuries like this. I mean, these volume players are great. They're getting you fantasy points. But at some point, there's going to have to be a price to pay to the piper, right? And we kind of seen it. And like you said, I feel terrible for Cam Scatterboo. Great kid. Great start there in his career with the Giants. And now, I mean, this could really, really damage him. We know running backs, legs, knees, feet, all that stuff, ankles are very valuable to them, Achilles. So hopefully he can come back and give us some kind of, old style of Cam Scatterboo when we see him. But to get back to your point about all the bad play in the league, and I give you credit on this, like, it is, and you talk about the quarterbacks. That's kind of where it starts. I mean, we were kind of talking about that with Justin Fields. Like, is he really going to get replaced? I mean, I think that there's a great chance, yes, because the Jets are going to have such a high pick. They definitely could take a rookie, but there's no guarantees. And you are right about that. We're seeing a lot of retread guys. Teams are going back to them, and you can see the difference. The teams that are clearly different have those quarterbacks, right? Like we see Kansas City, we see Buffalo. Like, yes, Buffalo had a couple little hiccups, but today they just demolished Carolina. So they're getting back on track. And, Kansas City had their hiccups, but it doesn't matter. When you have those quarterbacks, it puts you such a huge advantage. And that's why, from a dynasty perspective, you and I have talked about, like, I want to get into New England now before it's too late because Drake May is that next guy. And we've been saying that, we've been preaching it. And man, if you can get into this offense and really watch who they draft this offseason, because they're going to get a weapon of some kind. I want pieces in that. Kayshon Boutte is a guy that I know you talked about heavily as a low-key investment, and it's just really working out. So, yes, I mean, this is really good that you brought this up, because from a conscious standpoint, as dynasty players, we got to really target these teams that have the quarterbacks. And right now, Drake May's the next guy. Do you agree with that statement, Bob?
Yeah, you actually walked into my second segment, really. As far as Drake May is setting the world on fire, and it's great. You take 5 sacks from Myles Garrett, who's probably the best defensive end that we'll ever get to watch. I mean, I know that we're older, so there's guys that we've seen past, but Garrett he's a different animal. He is a beast, and you take 5 sacks from that guy, and you still manage. You even throw the ball away, and you still mop that team. And it's like he just put it on his shoulders. It's like, hey, come on, let's go. And we got a Travion Henderson sighting today, and of course he fumbled. Ramondre Stevenson has his problems, and then Travion Henderson comes in and he fumbles the ball. Like, are you kidding me? Like the script writes itself. Like, guy gets replaced for a fumbler and comes in and fumbles. But whatever the case may be, but yes, go get Drake May. I'm in a league. It's offense only. Generally, I don't play a lot of offense only leagues. Guy comes at me and he's offering me Jordan Love, Jaden Higgins, and his whole set of draft picks for next year. Now, all that converts to cash. It's a bankroll league, blah, 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 blah. But I'm like, I just don't know if I can do it for Love. I know you love Love, but I sent Josh Allen for Drake May and the next 2 first. It's a 2-copy league too, and both guys rejected me, and I can't blame them. I offered them, you know what I mean? It's but I didn't get a counter either. I was like, okay, maybe they'll counter. It'll just be something I'd be willing to accept, and it didn't come through. And I'm like, I don't know if I'd get rid of Jake Murray either. It's like, I just feel like, we may be riding this high, and I don't want to become a Patriots fan. I really don't. But and it's just because I lived through it all. And if I were to jump on there now, but it's like, I just be a Drake May fan. I've got plenty of jerseys, and it wouldn't bother me to go get a Drake May 10 jersey or whatever and wear it around. But I digress. But that team is, and you're not wrong. Wait to see what they add. Because I mean, it could be anything. And I don't believe that this draft's gonna give them a superstar weapon, but if it just gives them somebody that fits into the rest of the mold, whether that be offensive line, whether that be a wide receiver, they got both their draft picks, as far as I know, the full complement of draft picks off the top of my head. I don't remember them trading anything away. And if it's New England, 9 chances out of 10, they got a whole bunch of extra picks. But that was more Belichick. I don't know about Vrabel. But yeah, so it's like they could add anything, and it could easily make their team better. And listening to, I seen an interview that they did with May there at the end of the game, and he was talking about Vrabel, and it's like, you could tell he's bought in. And if he's bought in and he can get the rest of the team to buy in, Drake May is to the moon, like we said the last time.
Yeah, 100%. And that is big. Let's see what they do in the draft. If you can still get some of these guys low key, and it's going to get harder and harder every week. I mean, that's why we talked about it 3-4 weeks ago. It's just going to keep getting harder. But, the thing is, you look at this, right? And I'm glad this was your second point and you wanted to talk about Drake May. I know you'd be very excited after that performance again today, because some people had them on upset alert, and it just didn't happen. I was like, man, I don't think so. I seen this Cleveland team play the Steelers, a couple weeks ago, and I just was not impressed whatsoever. But, they really, really took it to them there in the second half. New England did. That's what good teams do. I know you're not a New England fan, Bob, but I know you admire good culture. So I will say that's they're high on your list. Now, just touching on one last point, when we go back to your first point and your second point, because that's all kind of tied together, like you said. Why were we proponents of buying Rashee Rice all offseason? Like we said it, go get him, because you know why? He's got Patrick Mahomes. And that makes a huge difference, man. And I'm telling you right now, in Dynasty, as bad of quarterback play as we've seen, you got to try to get some of these guys. I mean, you're just got to leg up on everyone, I feel, if you get some of these people in these offenses with these quarterbacks. So That's a good point. Now, Bob, before we go to your third point, just want to let you know, Slim has chimed in, and he asked, how about Kyle Pitts today?
It's like, woo! If he wasn't playing PPR, he got 5.9 points. So in a PPR league, he gets 14.9 points. And what that put him as what, tied in 5 on the week? Wow. We're so excited. I knew this would kind of let's look at who outscored him this week. A rookie, Rondé Gatson, 5 for 5, 77 yards, and he managed to get in the end zone, Slim. And then Harold Bannon, 64 yards and what? A touchdown, because we know Kyle Pitts isn't tough enough to get into the end zone. And then Goddard with his 3 catches for 28 yards and 2 scores, that outscores Kyle Pitts. And like, Taylor was right behind him. Like what? Like, ooh, Kyle Pitts. Like, and again, if I'm going to misquote the stats, I think, but I'm pretty sure I'm correct. It's like Tampa Bay, he averages like 69 or 79 yards, and the rest of the league, he averages like 32 or 39 or something like that. So if that's the case, guess what? This was a big blow-up game for a non-Tampa team, and he got 59 yards.
So you hear what Bob's saying, Slim? He says sell Kyle Pitts now.
It's still trash. Like, I'm hoping. When does he play Tampa Bay next? That's when you want to. That's when you want to sell him. And I mean, I guess if he looks like the target hog with what Slim said was a trash quarterback, got him his nine targets and 9 catches. So guess what? When they go back to terrible Penix again, he'll be back in the dog water of tight ends. Stop talking about Kyle Pitts. Wasted my time with Kyle Pitts.
And there was no Drake London today, right, Bob?
Yeah, it's great. It's like, way to go, Kyle Pitts.
We'll see who makes the second chance corner on the Dynasty DNA deep dive with Slim here next week. He's got some surprises in store for us, I'm sure. Bob, let's go to topic number 3. What do you have for us here tonight?
Man, I don't want to. This is not, but the top end running backs are blowing up. If you were the guy that bothered to target Jonathan Taylor, Breece Hall, and again, Breece Hall he's just did it a little bit, you know what I mean? Not like the whole season, but like Cook has been awesome most of the year. Barkley finally lights it up. Like, if you can bat, like, you got to swing and miss and swing and hit, but if you stayed away from Genty, you look genius. And I mean, not to just throw shade back at Slim, although I could spend a couple 10 minutes talking about how bad Genty is, Slim, if you want to hear that, but I doubt you do. And it's like, 3 touchdowns from RJ Harvey today. Like, I think if you just picked and choose your spots on good teams, that's more than anything else. Like, if you'd pick your spots on good teams, that's the running backs you want to target. Go target them on good teams. And it's like, I don't know. This is kind of just like off the cut, because I was really excited about the running back play today. I was just like, man, some of these guys just look outstanding. Saquon Barkley looked like had a good day today. Now, he did play the Giants, who have been notoriously kind of bad on defense. And, of course, they lose their workhorse, so they can't even slow the game down. So that was kind of, it is what it is. And I think Saquon's going to always want to play hard against the Giants, because that's, where he came from and all that stuff like that. And, of course, Cook played Carolina. So it's like we can't – but picking and choosing your spots – and even Dowdle had a small game today. They couldn't run the ball all the day, but he had 6.8 yards per carry. If he was, on the games where he's playing bad opponents, go for it. And I know I'm all over the place with the players, so it's like kind of inconsistent. But like, I think that for as much as we think it's a passing league all the time, watch the ebbs and flows. You're going to have good running games, and it's like even Josh Allen today. Josh Allen runs into scores and really has a subpar passing day. Other than the Khalil Shakir blow-up run, it didn't really look like it was a great game for Josh Allen, but it's 2 scores in the air, 2 scores on the ground. And, man, it's just seems to me like they're running the ball a lot more effectively this year than what I've seen in the past, other than last year. Last year was a very big anomaly, but
And, I'm glad you brought up James Cook and Jonathan Taylor and people like that. Now, Bob, let me just, you've been around this game a long time. So have I, Dynasty Fantasy Football. It's just amazing how name value can fetch more, right? I mean, like, you bought Jonathan Taylor or James Cook in the offseason, and I bet even after this year, you could do the same. Now, we don't know how the last 8-9 games are going to play out here, right? Like, we don't know how that's going to go. We don't know how the injuries or something might happen in the playoffs either, but you look at this, right? Like, and I think you might be able to agree with me. Like, Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, fine players, no doubt about it. I mean, but they got the sexy name. But like in the offseason, you could probably buy Jonathan Taylor and James Cook cheaper than you could get those guys, and they're going to give you the same kind of output. And look, it just equivalates to more success. So, and that's even same thing with startup drafts. They're not going to be up there as high in ADP. You can wait another round to draft a Jonathan Taylor. You can wait maybe a round or two more to draft a James Cook. And, I said it. I remember doing the Dynasty DNA morning show, and everyone asked, we're going around the table, what's one player who's going to outperform ADP? I said James Cook. I just knew it. He does it every year. I mean, yes, it's a little boom busty, but man, when you hit these booms, it is great. And I mean, he can win you a game single-handedly at times. So, I mean, just knowing the game like I know it and the way you know it, do you agree with what I'm saying? Like, just to help the listeners out there, look, if you got a good team and you're looking to add a running back this offseason, I wouldn't do it now because points are everything. But this offseason, you could add a Jonathan Taylor or James Cook cheaper still. Do you agree with me on that?
Yeah, because I mean, first off, age is going to catch up with them too. But I always kind of look at 2 or 3 points, right? Like number one, are they alone? Are kind of no matter what the lead dog in the backfield, right? Then number two, like, do they play for a good team? Because if they get up, it's like Derrick Henry, for instance. Like when they're up, Derrick Henry gets to eat because it just keeps snowballing. And these running backs get stronger the more carries they get generally, especially within game, right? And like my wife asked me when we were watching the game today, we went to a restaurant and they had the Giants and Eagles game on. And she asked me if I had much Saquon Barkley. I'm like, no. Number one, he was too expensive. And number two, like 400 plus touches last year scared the crap out of me. I don't want any part of that much usage, at least from year to year. It's time to sell them high and you go down to another guy. Now, if I would have had him, I probably would have tried to get into James Cook. I would have tried to get into a Jonathan Taylor because they're on pretty decent teams. They're the lead dog on their backfield. And yeah, you go that route. Like that's the cherries I want to pick. And, of course, there's super elite talents like Gibbs and Bijan. But Bijan, he's getting kind of messed out of games because of the way the freaking Falcons are playing right now. They're just, I don't know. I didn't even look to see what Bijan's points were today, but it couldn't have been too good because like I don't see him here in the top blah blah blah.
It was like 7. It was like 7 points, I believe, if I remember right, because I did have him in a couple leagues.
Imagine you drafted that guy with like 8th overall. You're pissed. You can't not be pissed. And this was not a game that should have, been this was the Miami game, right? Miami and Atlanta. Yeah, they should have stonewalled Miami. And they were playing at home, if I'm not mistaken. Like, seriously, that's whatever. Yeah, like you would be pissed if you had that player on your team. But like the guys that have been around doing it and on good teams, that's the guys that I'm always targeting.
Yeah, and I mean, look, if you can get a significant plus, and we always talk about the tier down method, going down the ladder a peg, and, everyone always thinks that that's terrible, but really, man, when you add that plus, if you get a nice plus back with a Cook, with a Taylor, I feel good about what you're getting. So, I mean, just make sure it's the right deal. Make sure you're getting the right value. But, I mean, it just makes a ton of sense to me because, like you said, Bob, you would have drafted Bijan Robinson 8th, and you would have drafted Jonathan Taylor like 16th or 19th or wherever you got him, and you would have felt like a genius, if you avoided Bijan and waited another round, right?
Well, as long as you didn't botch up your other 2 picks, right? Like as long as you didn't like, oh, I got Keon Coleman as my wide receiver 2. You'd be really pissed then, or something like, I don't know. He wouldn't have got drafted that high, but I was just saying, you're
right. You're right.
Yeah. The league we're in together, you got Cook way late. You know what I mean? Like if you would have, boneheaded up like 3 or 4 of your other picks, then it wouldn't have mattered if you had Cook there. But yeah, so, and revisionist history, right? You just kind of remember things on the fly.
That's why you got to tune into Dynasty DNA. We'll help guide you and steer you along that river, man. No doubt about it. Now, let's get into it, Bob. The number 4 item on the list. What do we have this evening?
So I saved 2024 QB draft prospects for the 4th one because 4-4, I like symmetry like that. 6 quarterbacks get drafted. History tells us that most of the time, only about half of those are successful in the NFL. If however many get drafted the first round, generally only about half. We got a whole bunch of spots. I'm reserving the ones that are going to be successful for Jaden Daniels, Drake May, and Bo Nix, and that means the other 3 are going to turd out. And I just believe it's going to be Caleb Williams, and I believe it's going to be, I'm losing track of my brain, Penix and
McCarthy.
And that hurts my heart because, I like McCarthy, and I don't know why Caleb Williams can be successful in this league, but we talked about it ad nauseum. They have to run the ball to be a successful team, and that does not make us happy as fantasy football owners of Caleb Williams.
Yeah. You said it. I give you, and it is true. I will give you a ton of credit on the Bears analysis of what you think that makes them successful, because when they do run the football, it does look like a totally different team. But you're right, Bob. So if you're getting that, yes, it's helping the Chicago Bears, but it isn't helping your fantasy stock for Caleb Williams. So I will give you credit on that. Now, let me just say this, and I'm going to let you get back into your spiel here, but the only other thing I will say about McCarthy, and I agree with you, it ain't looking good. And I don't like the fact that he can't get on the field, but there still is a little wee bit of an unknown there, right? It isn't completely for sure, but I'm like you, Penix. I give Slim credit. I know he was a little higher on him. I know that we were kind of lukewarm, but we were just he's a quarterback too. Even Slim, yeah, even Slim said that. He's not going to be a dominant force. We're just hoping for that steady Eddie quarterback too in Superflex. That's his ceiling. We all kind of said that on the deep dive. So they'll get back into it here now. So you're just completely, you're just done with Penix. He's someone you're not interested in. And McCarthy, you're just not taking the chance either.
I think if I have either player, I'm not going to be hesitant to move them. I think McCarthy, I may keep the just in case share. You know how I am with the lefty quarterbacks. Penix is going to be he'd be an easy out the door. Caleb Williams, I have 2 Caleb Williams, and one I just can't get an offer that makes me feel like I'm okay with. And then the other one, I traded for it. After the Dallas game, I'm like, you know what? I'm actually a pretty good team. It's not going to cost me a whole lot. I'm deep at other spots. I can take the hit if Caleb Williams sucks. And it's pissed me off since I made the deal. And, it is what it is. And it's just right. And it's last week we talked about, would you trade Penix for McCarthy? Yeah. Well, at least at that point, I'm banking on the system. I'm hoping that he gets on there and Kevin O'Connell can turn things around. I don't trust anything that Atlanta's doing right now. They're a dysfunctional franchise. They have been for a really long time. And not that I know what I'm getting totally out of Minnesota, because it seems like they're rocket ship, and then it's the engines fail and they fall down to earth. I don't know exactly what's going on with that. I think they're just very hurt right now, and they probably need, I don't know when their bye week is, if it's coming up or whatever off the top of my head, but they could use it badly. And they're a team that likes to run the ball. And of course, when they lose Aaron Jones and they're relying completely on Mason, they become one-dimensional because Mason's not really a pass catcher. And you can't count on Ty Chandler, or I think that's the guy that's the third string running back. Yeah. So it's they just got, I think they were on a snowball hill that just kept rolling downhill. And it's kind of sucky in Minnesota right now. But, history tells us we just don't get QB classes that fill all the holes. And it's, we look at it. I talk about this, and my son gets aggravated at me because I talk to him about 5 days a week, and I'll just start rambling about quarterbacks. Doesn't matter if they're on my team. It doesn't matter if they're on his team. I'll just start talking about how they get hurt. The spots aren't filled. They're not being developed. They're not coming ready from college. So on and so forth. And it's like, what are we expecting to do? 32 NFL teams. We can't get 28 quality NFL quarterbacks.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at it, right? These guys that play a ton of college football seem to have more success. Bo Nix, like, when Bo Nix took a number 11 or whatever it was by Sean Payton, there were so many people bashing that pick. But, like, he's playing chess when everyone else is playing checkers. Like, he knew, like, this guy's ready to play. He fits my system. I can coach him properly. And you're right. And, like, going back to the Minnesota thing, the last thing I'll say before we move on to your last topic here, Bob, is I know exactly what you're getting at. Like, they definitely could use that bye week. Are they the best team in the league? No, but you feel more confident with them. Like, even if it goes bad this year, that they could rebound and actually have a plan and put themselves back up towards the top. And Atlanta's just one of them teams that just fails to put it together repeatedly, right? Like, that's what you're getting at.
Well, think about it like this. First off, they get like a 4-year contract when they come into the league. So let's just say you burn up 1 year or whatever because you're the backup or you're hurt or whatever. So then you're behind the 8 ball. The second year, you meander around, or you kind of suck, or you kind of get hurt. You lose time, whatever. Year 3, if it isn't clicking, you're done, because that team has to make a decision on whether they're going to put that 5th-year option on you. Then after that, it's just a rarity that if you lose probably half the time your first 2 years, forget about it. Like, even Patrick Mahomes sits and doesn't play until week 17, but after that, it was his team. They said in practice he was better than Alex Smith or whatever, but they were just like, they wanted to do right by Alex and so on and so forth. And like, they knew once Patrick Mahomes hit the field, it was a rocket ship, and it's like but look at like Josh Allen. Josh Allen goes out there and absolutely sucked. I mean, he was awful. People were like, there's no way this is going to work. And then he goes to some QB guru, learns how to set his feet properly, and the sky's the freaking limit. He's become a stud, and he's built like a brick shit house and can run through walls. So it's like, seriously, like, okay, let's just go with it. They need time to develop and be put together right. And if you don't have that time, forget about it. It's done.
Yep, absolutely. So, Bob, last thing for the culture shock here. This is your last culture shock before the Halloween holiday. I know you've been going over some scary things the past couple of weeks. What's last on the list?
The spookiest thing I could possibly think of. The Jets aren't dead. Stop it. Quit burying them. They need the offensive line. Justin Fields isn't dead. He's going to end up, and it's going to break my heart either way, right? He's totally going to end up either being a journeyman or he's going to end up being the Jets quarterback. And either way, it's probably not going to be any fun for Justin Fields fans. However, like, I'm watching that game, and like, I kept seeing things just like people were talking about, well, that pass. And I'm like, I rewatched the condensed game, and I'm like, well, he's throwing everything behind the line because he's getting pressured like crazy. And I'm like, who does he have to throw to? I sent the snapshot of the team. I'm like, who are these guys? I've never heard of Isaiah Williams before. We study everybody, TJ. I don't know who Isaiah Williams is. And then some dude named Beck, not Besh, that just got drafted this year. Some dude named Beck. I've never heard of these clowns. Jeremy Ruckert, the ghost of Jeremy Ruckert comes out of nowhere and finally catches a pass for him today. I'm like, wow, I thought he was out of the league. Like, they're outside of Breece Hall. He had Mason Taylor. He had Jack Kraft to throw the ball to today, and he still had a pretty decent game within the confines of the offense. He's just got to have some confidence. And like, the defense didn't do jack until that last 2 drives. They stopped those last 2 drives. That's the only reason they won the game. Other than that, they probably would have lost on the defense, and it wouldn't have been Fields' fault. He hasn't thrown an interception this year. I didn't go back to look and see how many fumbles he's had. I mean, I'm sure it's not great, but it's like they brought in Taylor. Was it Taylor they brought in last week? I can't remember the guys. It's Tyrod. Yeah, Tyrod Taylor last week, because I was thinking of Tyron Huntley or whatever, but he played for Baltimore today. They bring in Taylor last week, and it's going to turn the Jet season around. What's he do? He throws 2 interceptions. Like, at least Fields hasn't been intercepted this year. Like, seriously. And again, what they need to do is what the Bears need to do. It's the same type of environment. They need to run the ball effectively and play good defense. And Fields has his yards per carry today was trash, but he just took what the defense gave him. If he continues to do that, now he throws piss missiles. He doesn't have much touch. It's a little Anthony Richardson syndrome there, but at least he's not boxing himself on the sidelines and hurting himself. So so he's got a little too much piss missile, and he needs to bring that down a little bit. I thought he threw some rockets today, but guys caught the ball. If they catch the ball, I mean, it's like what was the game where they were really close at the end and Garrett Wilson drops that pass? I can't even remember which one it was. It was like, man, he rocketed it right in there, and like, bam, Garrett Wilson drops the ball. I don't remember if that was the Steelers game.
I think it was. I think Ramsey hit him, and it was kind of bang, bang. But, if I remember. But, let me just say this, Bob, and I know you've been more of a Justin Fields supporter than most, but, I mean, look, at this point, as bad as it is, you said it yourself. I think at best we're looking at a journeyman, maybe gets a year, maybe half a season as a Jets starter again at best. I mean, do you think that, you're going to sell? Like, if he has one of them games where people might want to be back in, you're going to try to take advantage and get the maximum you can get and cash out?
It might be one of those. This might be one of those suckers for me, TJ. I might just be like I might just be Slim is a Kyle Pitts truther. I'm probably going to be the Justin Fields truther and just be like, he's going to score 20. I mean, like, he outscored Caleb Williams today.
They were playing Cincinnati now. Come on. Let me say, though, that game was a void of defense. That was the worst defensive game I've ever seen.
I don't disagree, but like, you're playing a Ravens team that's been beat up all year long, and they still don't have their quarterback. You can't get the team off the field. Like, you had their first 2 drives, they got 2 field goals. And you threw an interception.
And I'm not excusing Caleb, because you heard me in the chat. I said he's got to play better. That was not a good game. I mean, anyway, you kind of you got to put some of that on him, most of that on him. But I will say the Ravens were inspired today. Like I even said in the chat, like, we got to give the Ravens more credit, because, I think that they know either we're going to start winning or this is over. Like, we got to try to do anything we can do. They are a proud franchise, usually a good cultured franchise. I know, Bob, that you know that as well. So, like again, I mean, I'm not excusing Caleb. It's got to be better. And if it ain't better, then he's going to have his troubles down the road as well. But, I mean, the Ravens played that game very well. Cincinnati, just a god-awful defense. How the Steelers lost to them, I will never know. I mean, that was terrible. I guess our defense might be worst. We're getting ready for the Sunday night game right now. But let me just say this. So you might be going down the ship with Caleb Williams. See, like, and that's just, or not Caleb Williams, with Justin Fields.
Everybody's going down the ship.
We were just talking about Caleb Williams. I know I got your ire when I said that, but you might be willing to go down. But, like, I just give, like, Ty credit. Early in the season, he had that big game. He said, sell, sell, sell. And then that's the problem, right? Like, it just has not worked out for him. But at the same token, I agree. Maybe he gets another opportunity just based off of the quarterback situation, how bad the quarterback play is. I don't hate that. So we'll see, man. But, Bob's saying don't completely bury those Jets. And, if Breece Hall were to move, if he were to get traded, I'm sure Bob would just be elated if that happened.
Well, I don't think Breece Hall, like, somebody asked that. I don't know if it was to share it in the chat or outside the chat, but at this point, man, they're probably on a little bit of their own hopium, and I wouldn't surprise them if they re-sign him. Like, they come out of this weekend, we won a game, let's keep the team back together, we're going to add some weapons in the draft, so on and so forth. You know how it is. Some teams will just do that.
Yep, you're right.
One more thing on Caleb Williams. QB 9, QB 20, QB 1, QB 24. Like, is this dude the biggest yo-yo? QB 10, QB 27, QB 15. Like, it's not consistent enough. It isn't good enough. It isn't consistent enough. And I agree. But, like,
you see those flashes. See, like, and that's where like you're a little bit more drawn into maybe a Justin Fields flash. I'm drawn into a little bit more of a Caleb Williams flash. Like, it's not saying these guys don't have any talent. Like you mentioned, Bob, these situations are very similar. They're bad. And I think you're right. I think in the short term, at least in the short term, try to run the football. Keep it simple. Like, I think that was very good and astute point on your point. So, like, I agree with you on that.
Yeah, I think every team in the NFL would be well served to try and have a much more balanced attack. But you got to surprise people on first down. I talked about that with the Jets, 2 weeks ago. Of course, if you're going to run, pass, punt as your primary, offensive scheme, then yeah, it's going to suck because everybody knows what's coming. If you don't, shock them a little bit here and there and throw a pass on the first down, you're not going to have a good, good offense. And, you got to have, if you learn anything from the culture shock, or if you learn anything about how I think about anything, offensive line, get a good offensive line, build from there, because once you got that, then you could do a lot of things.
And last point I want to make, and I think you'll agree with me as far as Caleb and the Bears go on this, the first 15 plays, it just looks like a totally different team. Like if they could somehow get out of the, once we're out of this 15 first scripted plays or whatever it is, and start putting together a whole game of offense, I mean, they could do something because I go back to that first drive and I know you watched it. They moved the ball right down the field. Now they stalled out and they kicked the field goal, but it looked effortless. They looked good. And then, boy, it just totally flip-flopped on its head. So I think you can agree with that before we sign off, Bob.
Ironically, it's been the same way the last 2 weeks, right? Their first 2 scores have been field goals. It's like and install. And I don't know if it's a Caleb thing. I don't know if it's a coaching thing. It's great to get points, but man, you got to put the ball in the end zone.
That's how you win games. That's how you win games.
You get 2 field goals and the other team scores a touchdown one time. You're playing from behind the rest of the game. And that no matter what, that puts you in a different position. It puts you in a different mindset. And as ad nauseum, I've said, I just don't think Caleb Williams has the I can come back from behind mindset without trying to put the whole team on my back. And he tries to play superhero, and it's generally a bad thing. And I've also said this. I hope everybody ends up being successful because the more quarterbacks we have, the better off or the easier this game is to play. I would love to just be able to pick, all my stud players and wait till, round 10 or 12 or whatever and grab 2 guys to play quarterback or whatever and be done with it. Because at that point, then I've got, the hard part knocked out. But instead, in Superflex leagues, if you don't grab one of the top 2 or 3 guys, man, you're kind of kicking yourself in the balls.
I agree with that statement. But what a great episode of the Culture Shock. Big Bob courteous enough to give us his time up there in Wisconsin on his vacation. We appreciate that. And if you are listening on Spotify, Apple Pod, Stitcher, Amazon, any of the big podcasting platforms, and you haven't yet, please follow and 5-star the show. Really helps. We greatly appreciate it. If you're watching on YouTube, like, subscribe, comment. The subscribers have been going up over there. We truly appreciate that. We're thankful for that as well. Also, follow us on Twitter at DynastyDNA_. I know I speak for Bob and everyone here at the Dynasty DNA Podcasting Network when we say good luck in the rest of your week 8, what you have left between Sunday and Monday night. We hope you win your games. Make sure to tune into all the great shows on the Dynasty DNA Podcasting Network, and we'll see you all on the next episode of The Culture Shock.
Bear suck.